Yeah, you don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoked through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through. You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoked through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through. Now I'm sipping on this whiskey, got one chance and it's risky, so you can't play around. And I got my team behind me like a background. I don't never back down, picking up the slack now. Now I'm focused, keep on grinding for my stacks now. I'm feeling lost in this ocean, where's a lighthouse? I keep on swinging for the fence and I ain't strike out. And yeah, that's how I'm feeling, yeah, that's how I'm feeling now. We're not here for a long time, yeah. This 9 to 5, it's a long grind, yeah. A lot of to success, it's a long climb, yeah. Now I'm sitting here making up for time, yeah. Man, I took so many losses that I lost count. I didn't know what I was made of, but I found out. And this life will blindside, you better look out. These haters wanna see you fall and get you took out. Yeah, cause I fell on my face, and this life is a race. I keep on checking my place. Now I'm riding for my team, you can tell by my plates. And this life just threw a hook, it caught me right in the face. But I'm getting back up, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll climb a couple of mountains, I'll swim a couple of lakes. Don't got time for the bitching, don't got time for complaints. Now you going through some shit, now tell me, how does it taste? You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoked through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through. You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoked through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through. Now I'm living with my choices, I just own my mistakes. Cause I'm screaming fuck a handout, I ain't searching for breaks. But I'm barely treading water and this life is the lake. Now the pressure keeps on building as I'm raising the stakes. I ain't looking for advice, now I'm looking for space. Now I'm dealing with these losses, but I know I hate the taste. Now I'm sitting back, I'm thinking as I smoke it to the face. Now it's time for these apologies, the time is too late. So bygones be bygones, I'm on business with a tie on. So fuck a shoulder to cry on, I'ma get a hopper like Zion. Let's raise a glass, I'll toast that. Reminisce, we roast that. How I wrote them and ain't wrote back. I'm never flimsy, the goat's back. So I don't feel bad, no not at all. With a lot of years, write a lot of calls, a lot of birthdays without a call. Ain't got time for that, so fuck a fraud. You ain't there for me, I ain't there for you. You won't bleed for me, I won't bleed for you. All the hard times I lived through, keep moving, gotta get through. I got goals and cash I gotta get to, all these memories that I flipped through. If you can't relate, then don't judge. I'll stand my ground, I won't budge. I'm sitting back cause I burn buds, I swear to God this life's good. You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoked through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through. You don't know all the shit that I've been through, all the pain and the struggle that I lived through. Now I'm rolling up these papers that I smoked through, thinking about all the shit that I've been through.
What's going on, fellow retail investors? Butcher of Wall Street coming at you. If you like that song, make sure you check out Paul P. It's called Living Through on Spotify. That is a phenomenal song. I think it really encompasses a lot of the issues going on in the world right now, especially for retail investors. Taking a look at AMC, the stock market, a little bit of macroeconomics. Really quick, this could be a fast stream. I've got about 20 minutes. AMC Short Interest is up to a self-reported all-time high, 26.51% in AMC. I have never seen a short interest this high. We saw yesterday 25.5 million shares were borrowed and 24.4 million returned for a net increase of 1.2 million shares being borrowed. Why was there so many fucking shares borrowed? Well, if you ask me, although I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice of any kind, the reason that there were so many shares borrowed were so that they could try to get AMC off the Reg Show threshold list via sham resets. We talked about this in our last video. If you are unaware of what it is, just go back into our last live stream. and you can get more information on this. And we completely detail how sham resets occur and even give you some examples of the SEC issuing fines against a Charles Schwab wholly owned subsidiary for committing these sham resets. Basically, they can use married and divorced puts and take out shares and then return them in order to reset the FTDs, the failures to deliver, in order to get AMC and other stocks off the Reg Show threshold securities list. This prevents the Securities Exchange Commission and FINRA from forcing them to close out their failures to deliver. So basically, it's a game of hot potato. Who's going to end up with the hot potato when the game is over? I don't know. I don't care. All I know is I'm going to be filthy fucking rich. At the end of the day, right now, the cost to borrow on AMC average was 456%. The maximum was at 470%, and the minimum was at 7.9. But the minimum really doesn't mean shit, because you could borrow one share at 7.9. The average is what really matters. The average cost to borrow, APR, is 456.74%. And they did that, in my opinion, specifically. They took out all this massive number of shares in order to get AMC off the Reg Show threshold list, and it worked. It was on the threshold list for about 24 days last month, about 14, then it was off, and then 13 days later, because that's how long it takes for failures to deliver to accumulate, it was back on. It was on for a period of about a week, and now, with this little game that they're playing, the sham resets are occurring. And the broker-dealers are just as much to blame in these sham resets as the short hedge funds. So let's move on now and take a look at what's going on with the APE and AMC lawsuit. Thank you, everybody. I see you in the chat. I'm reading your chats. I just don't have time to mention all of them right now, but appreciate you guys. Keep dropping those comments. Keep chatting. And as you can see, I'm wearing my fucking Mo astronaut helmet today because we're going to the dark side of the fucking moon. Anyways.
Shorts are fuck.
You're goddamn right they are. Take a look at this. I don't know who the creator of this was, but it was posted in the think tank a little bit ago. APE and AMC conversion and reverse split. The hearing date has been moved to June 30th, 2023 at 3 p.m. I'm assuming that's Eastern time zone since it's in the Delaware court. And there are currently 3.8 million AMC shareholders. This was confirmed by the attorneys in the lawsuit. So we know for a fact that there are 3.8 million fucking shareholders. Let me get my notes out real quick. What does this mean? That means that the average shareholder, based on the float size alone, would only have about 130 shares, around 130 to 135 shares. That is an absolute joke. So the court chancellor says there are 3.8 million shareholders, which means that based on this current float, shareholders hold an average of 135 shares apiece, not including institutional holdings, exchange-traded funds, or short-sold shares. So we've also got 26.51% of the short interest on the free float. So we got to take that into account as well. Then we've got to take into account the other 5% held by exchange-traded funds and another around 3 to 4% held by insiders. Then you got to think about all the synthetic shares, the naked shorts, the shorts marked as long, the rehypothecations, the married puts, divorced puts, married calls, divorced calls, is the contracts, futures, swaps, etc. I could just go on and on and on about the ridiculous number of ways that there are to create synthetic shorts and synthetic shares, I meant to say also. But that doesn't really matter right now. At the end of the day, I know what I know, and I know that I've got tens of thousands of fucking shares and many other people in this think tank, YouTube, Reddit, Rumble, Twitch, you name it, watching right now and listening right now have also hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of shares. Not to mention I also have, tens of thousands of dollars worth of call contracts on AMC and AMC1, which I will make sure to exercise some of my call contracts to shove my gamma right up their asses. The court is going to decide if AMC can do an electronic notice instead of a mail-in notice in the agreement, which will cost $2.9 million, which is fine because if the courts decide to allow electronic notices, that means emails will go out to all shareholders. AMC shareholders in support or objection to the proposed agreement will be able to mail in a letter voicing their opinion. The letter must be accompanied by proof of beneficial ownership of AMC stock. So all these shills and douchebags that have been mailing in letters opposing what is currently going on in the, opposing AMC mean absolutely nothing. They're going to have to all re-mail new letters with proof of their beneficial share ownership of AMC stock. Shareholders will also have the opportunity to physically appear in court for the hearing. It is in Delaware. I'm not going to physically appear, but I will definitely be watching in other forms. A form will also be provided to shareholders to indicate if they will appear in person at the court for hearing. Absolutely right. So the official plans by AMC for handling the reverse split is based on only the legally issued share count, as if no synthetic shares exist, because AMC is a corporation. They are not the ones that are able to see that. Only people that can see how many synthetic shares exist is the DTCC. So when people wonder why Adam Aaron says that we don't have proof of synthetic shares, it's because AMC doesn't have access to synthetic shares. So they can't say how many shares actually exist, because that's not something that any company or any human being can physically see at any given moment, because the markets are fluid, evolving, and always changing. So at one point there could be 5 billion synthetic shares, at another point there could be 10 billion. And if you ask me, realistically, I wouldn't be surprised to see 20 to 50 billion synthetic shares. So when the time, someone's in the think tank posted this, and I thought it was very poignant, so I'm going to notice it. When the time actually comes around and people that have been stacking hundreds, if not thousands, of shares of APE, the AMC preferred equity, in the sub $2 range have several times over what was actually issued, there will be absolute chaos in the brokerage firms and financial institutions trying to manage the conversion, reverse split, and merger. So look at what was done in the first week of APE, the AMC preferred equity issuance and existence, and the crazy amounts to which it was shorted, and the number of people that were basically paid off to tell you to sell your shares. And this whole time I've been saying that that is a stupid fucking idea. Selling off APE is a terrible idea, in my opinion. But again, I'm not a financial advisor, so if you want to do that, then go ahead, because I'll never tell you what to do with your fucking money. The shorts know this is going to happen, and they're desperate for every day, every week, or every month that they can possibly delay with stupidity and frivolous lawsuits. The good thing is that the judge has combined the current lawsuits and is likely to settle or throw them out altogether. Especially since that a lot of them bring into account that they think that APE was illegally issued, which is absolute nonsense. Take a look at the AMC prospectus found on the Securities Exchange Commission's websites. Highlights that the board of directors has the utmost authority to grant rights to preferred shares. And it says that AMC Certificate of Incorporation authorizes the AMC board to issue from time to time up to an aggregate of 50 million shares of preferred stock in one or more series without further stockholder approval. The AMC board is authorized without further stockholder approval to establish one or more series of preferred stock and to determine, with respect, the designation, preferences, rights, and qualifications, limitations, or restrictions of the shares of each such series thereof, including dividend rights, rates, conversion rights, voting rights, terms of redemption, including sinking fund provisions, redemption prices or price, liquidation preferences, and the number of shares constituting any. In addition, the recent changes that occurred on financial markets due to the COVID-19 pandemic also gave them an additional green light to issue APE, because companies were given the green light to issue shares of stock in order to maintain their solvency during the COVID-19 scamdemic. So that being said, we have not one, but two completely separate locations and places in which we have confirmation that from the SEC website and the AMC prospectus and more recent COVID-19 scamdemic changes that happen to financial laws that allows AMC to illegally issue the AMC preferred equity shares known as APE. Therefore, the lawsuit is, in my opinion, null and void and complete bullshit. That being said, the shares, if there's a settlement, the shares that would have to be issued, just like a dividend, would have to be issued by shorts. Shorts are fucked. So there's lots of FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt being circulated right now by people like Mark Cahotas and other Twitter and YouTube shills that are out there that are trying to get people scared and concerned about the legalities of the issuance of APE with voting rights. Per AMC's Articles of Incorporation from 2013, their board can issue this preferred stock without shareholder approval and can assign rights such as voting rights to APE. And AMC was preparing way back in 2013, and they did a great job in doing so. So big credit goes to, YouTube channel Stock Retail. So Stock Retail on Twitter posted this screenshot from the Articles of Incorporation, and others here in the think tank have also brought me more evidence to show me that this was actually the truth. So the court chancellor is saying there are 3.9 million shareholders, meaning that based on the current float, shareholders hold an average of only 135 shares each, not including those institutions, not including ETFs, not including shares sold short, and all the other synthetics and naked shorts and rehypothecations that we discussed. I don't know about you, but I have tens of thousands of shares of AMC and APE. And I know that many apes here on Twitter, YouTube, Reddit, Think Tank have thousands upon thousands of shares each. So I do believe that Chancellor Zern will approve the proposed settlement by the end of June. Chancellor Zern understands that AMC needs to raise capital and that retail investors overwhelmingly, to the tune of 87.5%, voted yes for the proposals of the conversion, the reverse split, and the dilution by AMC. I know I voted yes, and I'm more than happy to do so because I don't care what the current price is. The price isn't real. I'll continue to buy and hold until the price gets to where I want it to be, and then I'll lick my ice cream before it melts. Any objections to the court case will need to be on legal grounds with proof of ownership in AMC, and Chancellor Zern was gracious enough to change the time frame for the settlement from 3 months down to 2 months. All right, so the judge's timeline is as follows. Let me move my notes over here. April 30th, they're scheduling a hearing to appoint a special master. Then 22 days before the hearing, all comments need to be at the special master with proof of beneficial ownership of AMC stock. 7 days prior to the hearing, the special master will submit a verified comments to the court. And June 30th is the final settlement hearing date. So 7 days prior to June 30th, there will be a special master submission of verified comments to the court. And 22 days before June 30th, all comments need to be to the special master. Final settlement hearing will allow stockholders to comment with proof of ownership. Final settlement hearing will allow stockholders to comment with proof of ownership. The judge has mandated notice by mail to all 3.8 million shareholders, and AMC is petitioning to be able to issue electronic notice. So Chancellor Zern, she has said that the timeline will be completed and published once the parties have the hearing with the special master. So we're looking at that April 30th hearing with the special master. And then at that time, we will most likely get the confirmation of the June 30th final settlement hearing date. So Chris Weber asks a good question. Thanks for the super chat, my friend. You don't have to super chat me, but I see it loud and clear. It says, why would AA say that all FTDs would just go away once the reverse split happens? My friend, that would be because the reversed split would entail a change in CUSIP number and a change in name for AMC and APE stock. Therefore, when there's a change in CUSIP number and name, shorts, failures to deliver would have to basically be closed out. Let's take a look at a post of what happened recently, real quick before I move on. I've only got about 5 minutes left, but before I move on, let me take a look at a post here from Lit Exchange. Make sure you guys follow at Lit Exchange LLC on Twitter. Let's see what happens when name change and CUSIP numbers happen on certain stocks. What date was this? March 22nd. Zura completed a name and CUSIP number change. The stock hit a new all-time highs with a 314% run on that date. Big credit to AMC for everyone for showing us this. You can see the website. This source was Business Wire. Zura Bio Limited announced the closing of business combination with Jet Acquisitions, basically a SPAC that had a name and CUSIP number change. And they ran 314% in one day. And they did not have 3.8 million shareholders diamond handing the stock either. So they went up from 50 cents to $30. 50 cents to $30, it looks like, in a one-day time frame for Jet Acquisition Corp. Stock ticker Zura, Z-U-R-A. That, my friends, is what happens, or what is potential to happen, when there's a change in name and CUSIP number, etc. That being said, a lot of people still are unaware as to just what kind of position this country is in, and this economy and the stock market, and everything you see on the stock market is a complete farce. The Pledge Protection team is holding things up and trying to continue to prop up the stock market desperately to make retail investors think that everything is fine. In the meantime, banks are going bankrupt left and right. Genevieve Roch Dector on Twitter posts up the U.S. one-year sovereign credit default swap spread, an increase of 10.5 basis points just yesterday on April 24th. She said, "Good morning, everyone. Is the U.S. going to default? The U.S. one-year sovereign credit default swap just hit a record high. This is the cost of insuring U.S. Treasury bonds against the risk of default. It is worth noting that the United States now has a higher chance of default risk than China." Let that sink in a little bit. In addition, M2 money supply is in dire straits. Take a look at this post from Nick Gurley. Money supply contracts again in March. And he's right. This is a massive, massive economic warning that the majority of people are too ignorant, too stupid, or just don't care enough to actually understand. This sort of money supply contraction hasn't happened in 90 fucking years since the Great Depression. 90 years. The only other times this has happened in the past, we had the Great Depression of the 1930s and the major banking crisis, the global financial collapse of the 2000s and the dot-com bubble of the late 90s and early 2000s. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in for a stock market crash, the likes of which the world has never seen. That being said, today alone, First Republic Bank, FRC, is down 49.77%. They were up at $16 a share, and they're down to $8.10 a share as of this moment. It is April 25th in after hours. And we will wrap up by saying that we are not fucking surprised. FRC has been propped up. For those of you that are unaware, I'm about to drop some knowledge that the majority of people in the world don't actually know. FRC has been propped up by the Fed for over 25 years. Over 25, maybe 30 years ago, FRC was already showing signs of collapse, and the Federal Reserve and other banks propped them up. Now, over 179 banks just in the last couple of months have given them a multi-billion-dollar loan in order for them to try to maintain solvency. So not only do you have FRC in dire straits, you've got all these other banks, 179 plus, that have also given them a loan of billions and billions of dollars that are potentially going to be seeing massive losses. In addition, over half of those 179 banks have more than half of their available equity lent to FRC. Banks are fucked. As you can see, it's all over the place right now. Yahoo, Reuters, you name it. Wall Street falls as weak earnings fan fears of economic slowdown. It's about time. The mainstream media is never going to tell you what's about to happen. They will always tell you after the fact, because they want you to lose your fucking 401k, pension, IRA, ISA, thrift savings plan, and investment account to them so that you can be left as a bag holder. Go ahead, my friend. U.S. stocks fell on Tuesday as a downbeat forecast from United Parcel Service, UPS, fueled concerns about a slowing U.S. economy, while a plunge in the First Republic Bank's deposits stoked worries about the banking sector. Ladies and gentlemen, UPS is a major freight forwarder, freight broker, and motor carrier. I also own a company that is a third-party logistics provider. You know, we are also a freight broker and previously a motor carrier as well. So I understand all too well what's going on in logistics because I see it every fucking day. And while we're doing really well, that doesn't mean that most companies are. A lot of companies are really, really hurting out there. And then the big players like UPS out there, their shares are tumbling 9.2%, set for their biggest single-day drop in more than 8 years after it forecast full-year revenue at the lower end of an earlier outlook as they grapple with a weakening economy. And then you've got smaller, newer companies. My companies have been around for over 10 years now, my logistics companies. I started them back in 2013. So we're about 4 months out from being at the 10-year mark. But a lot of newer companies that started during the scamdemic, well, they bought trucks at COVID pandemic high prices. And they are not receiving the same amount of spot work, nor the same rates that they were receiving a year or even 2 years ago. There are going to be, just like there was in 2016, we survived the 2016 collapse of trucking, the 2018 and 2020 collapse of trucking, where many companies did not, and a lot more jumped into the fray. You're going to be seeing a massive collapse in brokerages and trucking companies throughout the coming months, and that's a fact. That's a fact. FedEx also. We're going to be filthy fucking rich, man. But you know the saying, we're betting against the United States economy. For every 1% that unemployment goes up, 40,000 people in America will die due to starvation and lack of shelter. I don't take...
Yeah, don't dance.
Yeah, just don't dance. I don't take great pride in saying this, but the collapse of the stock market and the American economy bode very well outcomes and potential outcomes for those that are betting against it, if they're smart enough to see it. But again, just don't dance, because the majority of people are going to be hurting and losing homes and jobs, cars, families, and many even their lives. So that being said, I appreciate all of you guys in the chat. Thank you very much. I've got to go pick up my kids from school. I think that this has been a very fun conversation with all of you guys. I could just go on and on for hours. Shorts are fucked. Thank you for the TLDR, Maximus and Cash. Get the fucking money printer out your own, pal, because you're going to need to bail out all these piece of shit banks, brokers, clearinghouses. You name it. These market makers are going to need a massive bailout. And at the end of the day, I don't fucking care, because I want you to give me my fucking money. Thank you, everybody. It's been a slice.
Let's fucking go.
Get that goddamn money printer out your own. Holy shit. I'll leave you guys with a song as I'm on my way. Bang. Gonna be so goddamn rich.
I think it's time to blow this thing. Hit it.
What sounds that money printer make, Jerome?
Okay, 3, 2, let's go.
Fucking rich. Burr, motherfuckers.
I want
Burr.
my fucking money. Griffin, I want my fucking money. Yo, motherfucker.
Don't forget, everybody, market crashes historically happen after the Fed pivot and the previous situations like 2008.
Holy shit, we're gonna be so fucking rich.
Does that mean it's going to happen afterwards again? I don't know. History doesn't repeat, however it often does.
Great. Damn it, we're gonna be so fucking rich.
Best of luck to you all. Make sure you're properly fucking fixed. I'll see you next time, my friend. Oh, be on the lookout real quick before I go. you guys on.
I want my fucking money.
You're an original,
Hey,
aren't
yo,
you?
We're at
how
Lit
about give me the fucking money?
But our team has recently purchased the litexchange.com domain name for a significant cost. So for now, you can find us on Lit Exchange with no E at the beginning, litexchange.app. But pretty soon you'll be able to find us there, and as well as litexchange.com. We're in for some real game-changing shit here, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're buckled up and ready. Thanks for everybody in the chat. I see you, I hear you, I feel you.
The bounty letter.
Have a great day, y'all.
Hi, boss.
Hey, Dana.
We're gonna be so fucking rich. Get the goddamn money printer out.